unemployment insurance, child labor laws, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he laid out, in the year before he died, a new vision, which was, his new Bill of Rights, that everyone should actually have a right to a job, that if capitalism fails to provide the job, the government would. It should be the employer of last resort, that everyone should have the right to housing. And if our capitalist system fails to provide housing, people would have access to housing. Everybody should have the right to an education. And Bernie Sanders is talking about some of these things. Hillary Clinton is starting to talk about some of these things, for that matter. But I'm curious, in your mind, what are of course, I think we want to go back to undo Reaganomics and go back to some of the simple things, like you have the right to join a union that we had before Reagan. But what are the new things? What has the 21st century brought us? What are the things that millennials are looking at, and that everybody's looking at, for that matter, saying, okay, this should be our new direction?
I think one of the biggest issues is climate change. This is a generation that, unlike any before it, is going to live most of their lives with the effects of a warming planet. I mean, when we take a look at some of the older politicians in Washington who say that it doesn't exist or that it does, but we can't do anything about it, they're going to be gone long before we start to see some of the really horrible effects of climate change that at this point are inevitable. I mean, we're no longer talking, prevention. It's mitigation. It's how do we work around what we've already started. So I think that is priority number one. We deserve to have a planet that's habitable. I mean, that should be, I know, that should be common sense, and yet it's something that we still have to fight for, to say, look, you cannot destroy our planet. Look, the technology exists. It may not be on the scale to provide clean energy everywhere all the time at this point, but if we actually put the investments in it, perhaps take away the billions in subsidies to the fossil fuel industry, funnel that into renewables, we could get off of fossil fuels in the United States. We just refuse to. The technology does exist. We just won't do it. And so that's issue number one. And I think number two is we've got to get rid of Citizens United and get this corporate money out of politics. I mean, this is one of the big issues, along with climate change, for the millennial generation. All they've known throughout their entire political lives is corporate influence, going all the way back to, the early Bush years with Halliburton and the secret energy meetings in Iraq. Before Citizens United, this was a massive problem, and it's only getting worse every, year by year. So I think that's issue number two. And issue number three is we've got to bring back or start enforcing the corporate death penalty. When you have these corporations like we see on Wall Street who just build in corruption as the cost of doing business, they know that they can run these CDO and derivative scams and make billions of dollars, but only have to pay back millions in fines to the government and in civil lawsuits. So what is to deter them from committing any kind of crime? They make money off of it. So we've got to bring that back. We've got to enforce it. And I think the fourth major point is that we have a too big to fail problem in the United States, not just with Wall Street, but with the two-party system, the Democrats and the Republicans. That's essentially all we have. They need to be broken up just like the banks do. We need more options in the United States, and I know we do have other options, but we need viable options. We need third, fourth, fifth, sixth party systems in order to really get change in this country. And I think the stranglehold of both the Democrats and the Republicans is not going to allow us to progress like we should.
Yeah, I'm not hearing a lot about that. I mean, the Green Party has been banging that drum for a lot of years. There's now over 500, I believe, communities, counties, or no states, but cities, communities, or counties that are using instant runoff voting, which is a variation on the way Australia and New Zealand deal with the problem of first past the post, winner take all elections. We are one of only 7 democracies in the world that doesn't use proportional proportional representation, and those are two of those seven. And when you don't have proportional representation, when it's winner take all, whoever gets more than 50%, you end up with a two-party system. This was Madison's horrible realization when he wrote Federalist Number 10, and